Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 23rd, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. We got BC, Washington, Oregon. Check out the Aleutian Islands to the top left, and our low pressure center spinning out over the Gulf of Alaska. This is going to start to spread some rain across Pacific Northwest. We go through late tonight into tomorrow morning. So if you do happen to avoid some of these showers today, get out there and enjoy that dry weather while it lasts. Because this low pressure center is going to kind of take up residence here, weekend right off our coastline, and throw a few more impulses as we go on through Thursday. Then all eyes will turn to the atmospheric river potential through the extended forecast. We'll look at that in some detail here in this video this morning. Taking a look at the composite reflectivity on the North American model, 3-kilometer resolution, and you can see some areas still getting some showers today, but a lot of areas drying out at least a bit. And you might want to enjoy that because you'll see the next system riding in here as we go through tonight and into the overnight and early morning hours tomorrow. Pretty rainy day as we move through the morning for western Washington, BC, and Oregon. Some of this precipitation getting east of the mountains also as we go through the day. Some residual showers still around, and that low pressure center will continue to spin off the coastline here, spreading some of that energy back into the Pacific Northwest. And this is all before the atmospheric rivers start to arrive through the extended forecast. More on that here in a moment. I wanted to show you here as we go through Wednesday morning, winds are going to get a little bit breezy out there, but there's no major windstorm by any stretch of the imagination. You can see the northwest interior here in Strait of Georgia, some decent gusts going on, maybe down the I-5 corridor and some of the coastline, especially down across southern Oregon there, but nothing too crazy. Now, looking at the European, this is yesterday afternoon's run. So here we go with the shower activity today. Then the frontal system arrives tonight into tomorrow morning. Low pressure kind of meanders and spins some impulses into the Pacific Northwest. And then we go southwest flow here and we continue with some precipitation. Just very minimal breaks in between some of this rain activity here. Then you see some of these deeper lows start to arrive as we go on into the early portion of next week. Look at this 979, 981 millibar low just burrowing right into Vancouver Island. Big precipitation total potential with that. And then you see a 976 millibar low. You can have some atmospheric river action and windy, kind of targeting some of the coastal areas right now. Not looking at a big windstorm for the interior portions. That could still change, but right now we're not seeing that. And then you can kind of see that active storm track kind of gives us a little bit of a break here as we go through early February, if you believe the models. But then you can see some interesting systems still continuing on through the extended forecast. Some of the time here, the storm track might be focused at California as we go on into early February. Now, looking at Quileute Airport, you can see the 28th and the 29th kind of showing that signal for one of those big lows to move somewhere near the coastal areas and bring some gusty winds with them. Astoria, a little bit less of a signal there, but still there. And you can see Vancouver Island also here, again, 28th and 29th of January coming up. So we'll be watching those systems right here. We don't want to get into any more detail on that just yet. Still a ways out, 5 days or so. Seattle, Tacoma, you can see a few of these ensemble members do have some bigger gusts for some of the interior areas, but right now they control run doesn't have much in the way of wind, so we'll just continue to break that down day by day. Now, atmospheric river, so it's basically based on duration and integrated vapor transport moving through the atmosphere, and we've got weak, moderate, strong, extreme, and exceptional. We could be getting up towards strong or maybe even a little bit more here as we go on in through next week, and we'll be breaking that down day by day. It's bound to be changing back and forth here, but kind of a look at the atmospheric river scale and how we measure them, again, based on duration and integrated vapor transport. Now, if we look at the European, so we're getting a little bit of a break today, and then that system arrives tomorrow here. You can see the low pressure weakening and sitting there and spinning a few more impulses, but not atmospheric river activity. And then we start to bring that southwest flow in here, and then we look at a prolonged period of some atmospheric river potential here, and you can see some pretty strong storms here pointed at the Pacific Northwest. The European wants to throw some big lows here and continue that atmospheric river potential here as we go on in towards next week. Now, if we take a look at the GFS, a little bit closer view of things here also, and again with the system as we go through the day tomorrow, you can kind of see how that's progressive and fairly weak, not an atmospheric river. And then we bring that southwest flow here as we go through the weekend into early next week and look at the sinister nature of this atmospheric river here for some of, especially Vancouver Island here on the GFS. This is bound to change here coming up, but you can kind of see the prolonged period of some of this atmospheric river activity. And you want these, if you want big rains, you want those winds to be perpendicular to the mountain range. range. So this would not specifically target too much of Washington and the Oregon Cascades, even though it would bring some heavy precipitation with it. It would not be one of the exceptional atmospheric river events here. However, you can see how Vancouver Island is aligned a little bit differently here, and kind of those winds lining up perpendicular to the terrain, given the best orographic effect with that atmospheric river. Now, taking a look here at the integrated vapor transport, I just picked a point on the Washington coastline here, and you can kind of see as we get towards the end of the month, this atmospheric river potential definitely ramping up. So we'll be watching that. We have a few days to break things down and to work out these details. And also, if you're clicking around the National Weather Service site, this was out for today as well. Between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., there might be some web servers outages here going on. So anyway, check it out here. Click around and let me know what you see. Moderate sneaker wave risk. Again, it's just usually a good thing to assume that these are always ongoing during the winter months here from BC, Oregon, and down into Washington. And taking a look at the significant wave height. So I wanted to show you what's coming here. So you get a little bit of a wave action increase here as we go through, Wednesday and Thursday with that system. A little bit of a break here, but then you can see some of these deeper lows that the Europeans been having. It throws some pretty good wave action as we go through next week. So it might be some nice wave watching conditions here all the way from southeast Alaska down towards southern Oregon. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, click on that link down below to save 10% off. Totally wireless, solar powered, haptic rain gauge, ultrasonic anemometer. Highly recommend that station. Now, this is the National Blend of Models. This is hot off the presses. In fact, let me update that. I think it was still actually running as I started the video. But if we go through here, you can see Wednesday's system rolling in here, and then we get a bit more as that low kind of weakens and sits off our coastline, and you can just continue to see the bombardment of some of this precipitation. It even shows up some of that rain shadowing here to the northeast of the Olympics, and of course off to the east of the mountain ranges here across BC, Washington, and Oregon. And as we continue to trek on into the future here, you can just see some of these ridiculous totals showing up for some of the Olympic mountains. The coastal ranges and Vancouver Island might be especially targeted here. We'll see how that trends here in the models over the next few days, however. And I mean, just some ridiculous totals showing up here. I mean, Vancouver Island, pushing over a foot of rainfall potentially. So anyway, we'll continue to watch that, but pretty strong signal developing here. Now, looking at the European yesterday afternoon, this is a 15-day precipitation anomalies, and you can really see how that storm track is going to be pointed back at the west coast here. But caution, GFS 06Z, 16-day anomaly. You can kind of see how the sharp cutoff can exist with some of this atmospheric river activity here. So you don't want to get caught up in details just yet, or just who is going to get hit. We're just looking at the potential somewhere between Washington, Oregon, all the way up towards Haida Gwaii and western BC. And looking at across the ocean, we've got Hawaiian Islands here in the center, Japan back to the far left, there's Alaska, and there's Washington, 39,000 feet up in the atmosphere, and you'll see some of these systems rolling into the Pacific Northwest here. But look at this jet extension here. That's what I want to call attention to. You're going to see some of the chatter about this if you follow a lot of weather accounts on social media, but look at that just ripping across Pacific Ocean. This tends to bring, an increased storm activity here to some portions across the West Coast, and it could really target portions of California. And it looks like before that, though, we're going to get targeted with our atmospheric river potential here. So I just wanted to point that out. Pretty active jet stream ripping across Pacific Ocean. This is an El Nino signature associated with it. And looking at the National Blend of Models, total snow in inches. And as you know here, when we get the southwest flow, it tends to bring in that warmer air. Not great for snowpack building across the higher terrain. Even though the higher terrain will be getting some snowfall, you can see, look at this. As we go at 126 hours, I continue to scroll out, and you can see Snoqualmie Pass around 3.5 inches. Stevens Pass a foot. That's not great for January and February. There's always hope through the extended forecast, but really, that's not a good signal here. With the atmospheric river potential, we could really have some elevated snow levels and some flooding concerns as we go on in towards next week. And as always, if you're going out to the backcountry, check avalanche.org. You can see Mount Hood and the Cascades of Washington do have considerable avalanche danger across a lot of Idaho. And right now, northwest Montana and some of the Panhandle at moderate. But click on any one of these individual locations to get more information. And the Climate Prediction Center is all over the southwest flow and this warmer air rolling into much of the USA here as we go on in towards February 1st. And the 6 to 10 day really highlights the west coast also, again through February 1st. and this is the 8 to 14 day, goes through February 5th here. Again, much of the country expected to be above average temperature wise. 8 to 14 day, you can see, kind of highlighting a bit of California and some of the Southwest, but that does include the Pacific Northwest also. And the experimental products also showing up some of this heavy rainfall, some of the risk of high winds as well. So yeah, the crazy stuff out there, but we've got to get closer to it before we can start to nail down individual details and start to worry about these individual systems. There's still a ways out, 4 or 5 days or so. But anyway, enjoy it today if you can get some of the breaks out there. I saw a little bit of sunshine this morning, even here around the Puget Sound, but this next system is going to be rolling in hot. You're going to see some of the higher and mid-level clouds rolling in as we go through the afternoon hours here. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. We'll continue to break this down and look off to the extended as we go through future days. A pretty active pattern here. Looks like it's going to be in effect as we go towards the early portion of February. So we'll just continue to do that. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.